centuries, humans have been counting and storing and keeping record of numbers. And as we progressed in our ability to count, we grew the amount of information that we needed to store and keep record of. So we needed to keep this information in an orderly fashion known as ledgers. So the early ledgers were examples of how we kept the information in an orderly fashion. As technology advanced, the information and volume of information grew, which created additional problems of how do we access this volume of data rapidly and in a reliable way. And at this point, ledgers were computerized. And so we had access to information at very, very quick speeds, and the volume of information was helping us to be able to make decisions, and it became more crucial to decision making. But there was a problem, highlighted by the global financial crisis of 2008. And at that time, the integrity of the data became corrupted, and the interpretation by humans of that data became unreliable and also untrustworthy. The events of 2008 basically highlighted that data integrity was an issue where data was either ignored or misinterpreted, and in some cases, risky and reckless decisions were made where the data was completely disregarded. In response to this, an anonymous person or persons known under the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto developed and created an idea about digital currency. And this was given as a reward for helping to build an enormous giant network of computers that could be trusted to talk to one another, known as a blockchain. A blockchain is basically a series of computers that all talk to one another through cryptography. They're all connected through a cryptographic code. Every single blockchain starts with a genesis block, which is holding the exact protocol for what the code is to unlock each block. And so as each block is added, a reward is given for increasing the capacity of that network. So now we grow the network, and all those computers can talk to one another, and all those computers can agree on what it is that they're actually talking about, and they all have that protocol that they've agreed to. So they have this tick box that certifies that they're all agreeing not only on the information, but they're all agreeing on how they're going to cryptographically protect that information. So effectively, blockchain gamified a crowdsourced, trusted network of computers. So this is a distributed ledger, and this is what we know now as a modern ledger. The blockchain is now becoming a distributed ledger. So with this distributed ledger, each time a new block is added, it's known as mining. And when you mine, you add a new block to the blockchain. The reward for adding a new block to the Bitcoin blockchain is actually 6.25 Bitcoin, which is worth around about £200,000 right now. So every time a new block is added, the developer that's added that block is rewarded with £200,000 approximately of revenue. Now, blockchain has come a long way in addressing the core issue of data integrity. And the opportunities now are vast. The applications are infinite. But there is a problem. Every time a new block is added, it uses up natural resources. It uses up energy. So this has been addressed by a number of pieces of research where the blockchain is using renewable energy. So this ranges from 39% up to 73% in terms of the use of renewable energy within blockchain. So it's come a long way in understanding the issues of how to actually use energy effectively. Blockchain actually lends itself really well to using solar, hydro, and water power and wind power. So it's a really good way of being able to use the different natural resources. And there are many heavy industries that are still reliant upon fossil fuels that could learn from the new kid on the block. So could this be the coming of age for blockchain? Right now, blockchain is used for storing medical records safely and securely. It's all encrypted. It can't be touched by anything other than the system. So it's safe and secure for storing medical records. Transactions can be agreed across the network in fractions of a second. Even contracts and agreements are really well suited to being used on the blockchain. So blockchain has many, many advantages and many, many ways that it can support our modern day life. Videos can be downloaded and live streamed across a decentralized network. So from that point of view, we know that it's a very, very fast capacity and very, very good at being able to interact with people's daily lives. One of the things that has boomed in the past 12 months is something called non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. New NFTs are minted and they prove originality. So artists and musicians and gamers have jumped on this trend, and they're creating items of value that they sell directly to people who want to buy those NFTs. This decentralized approach means that the creator gets more of the royalty than previously because it's paid directly to them, minus a few fees for using the blockchain, of course. But the point is that it's a decentralized approach that gives more control to the creator of the material. In terms of the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is still the original cryptocurrency, and it is still the largest of all the cryptocurrencies. It's currently trading at around $48,000, and I've checked that just a moment ago, and it does vary, so it does move up and down. It's quite a volatile market, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But Bitcoin has 21 million coins. It's restricted, so it will never go beyond 21 million coins. So the value can go up based on the scarcity or based on the demand and based on the popularity. And Bitcoin is given as a reward for creating this giant network. So it's a really valuable way of rewarding people to grow this decentralized network. In terms of the total market, the size of the market is dynamic because Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are traded globally 24/7. Bitcoin still represents the largest majority of the blockchain and cryptocurrency market, and the total market changes literally by the moment, by the minute, because it's 24/7. So what can we learn from Bitcoin around the predominance of how it's been adopted in cryptocurrency? There are over 10,000 alternative coins and tokens now available. So this is a technology which is here to stay and is growing and will be around for some time to come. Right now, you can use Bitcoin to earn and pay for items, and to pay for items such as a car, a house. You can buy gold and silver with it, for example. More and more things are becoming available to be able to be bought with Bitcoin and with cryptocurrencies. You can spend other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin is still the major one that everyone accepts and is widely accepted. And this payment method is increasing. In fact, in El Salvador, they recently adopted Bitcoin as legal tender alongside the US dollar. So it's becoming more and more acceptable for countries to actually start to adopt this. So we can look at this because there are challenges. The decentralized nature of blockchain and the adoption of cryptocurrency can be seen as disruptive. So it faces challenges. For example, governments could see decentralized autonomous organizations as a threat. They use regulation to say that they're going to protect consumers, but could that just be a cover? Banks, in particular, are unlikely to want to give up their monopoly on printing money. And most of them are already talking about developing their own digital currency, which I'll talk about in just a moment. The retail banks have made it very difficult for you and I to be able to invest in cryptocurrency, and on-ramping of money into crypto exchanges has become quite challenging. And also, large organizations that have the power to censor your content or control your data are unlikely to want to relinquish their power over that and the huge profits that they make from harvesting your data. So let's unpack one of these areas in particular. I mentioned about the central banks. The central banks are developing a digital currency known as central bank digital currency, CBDC. And pretty much it might look like a cryptocurrency, but it is absolutely the opposite. Because the bank will continue to want you to invest your money and deposit your money into their vaults. They take that money and they use it to speculatively make profit that they don't share with you. And that's unlikely to change. They also want to restrict your money and restrict access to it if they don't like what you're spending your money on. For example, cryptocurrency. And so they could restrict your access to money, and this is unlikely to change with a central bank digital currency because they can switch it on and off whenever they desire. So their control will be even greater over your money. Banks are also likely to continue with centralized decision making. You may have experienced the computer says no moments when trying to make transactions, and this is unlikely to change anytime soon. Central banks have a habit of printing money when the economy is not doing very well. This has been seen to not be a very good strategy long term because it brings the country into debt. But with central bank digital currency, this will be even easier for them to do as they can add zeros onto a spreadsheet, quite literally. They create money from nothing with no backing, and that will be easier for them to control when they have a central bank digital currency. And one final point on CBDC, the digital currency is programmable money, which means that the bank can put an expiry date on your money, and your money will expire literally before your eyes, and you could actually be restricted from accessing your money based on such things as your social credit score. And this is already happening in China. So other countries are watching and seeing what's happening for the future. Now, if you look at cryptocurrency and fail to see the importance of blockchain technology and the significance of decentralized autonomous organizations, this is short-sighted and mistaken. It's a little bit like this coin. In the UK, this has a face value of £2. So to the untrained eye, it just looks like an ordinary £2 coin. But to the discerning investor and to someone who is trained, they will see that this is 1 ounce of pure fine silver, which is actually selling for around £28 in the UK. I firmly believe that when we can see beyond the face value of cryptocurrency, and we can start to be more discerning towards blockchain and the possibilities that it offers to empower decentralized autonomous organizations to accelerate, a vast ocean of opportunity will open up for humanity. There are significant moments in history, pivotal moments, when we get to redefine and recalibrate our future. The Berlin Wall came to symbolize freedom from oppression, and it was a symbol that we identify with the crumbling of an oppressive society. Maybe we'll look back in future at blockchain and see that as a moment where our liberty and digital freedom has been given. Could this be the start of the decentralized revolution? Who knows where we will end up with the technology and where it will lead us to? Maybe your car of the future will be earning you cryptocurrency while it charges overnight. Maybe you will have a sovereignty over your data so that you get to decide what happens with your data and how you want to have other people access it. There's already technology available where the blockchains are talking to one another, offering a massive, powerful network. And this is giving us a fantastic opportunity as humanity to move forward with decentralized autonomous organizations having a platform to build and build and build. Cryptocurrency is still in its infancy, establishing itself as an asset class. But the future of blockchain and the popularity of decentralized autonomous organizations is certainly going to be around for a long time to come. Our journey with the technology will continue for a long period of time. Let's hope we're all here to enjoy the ride to destination tomorrow. Thank you.